Welcome to the Digital Edge with Sharon Nelson and Jim Calloway. Your hosts, both legal technologists, authors, and lecturers, invite industry professionals to discuss a new topic related to lawyers and technology. You're listening to Legal Talk Network.
Welcome to the 162nd edition of the Digital Edge, Lawyers and Technology. We're glad to have you with us. I'm Sharon Nelson, president of Sensei Enterprises, an information technology, cybersecurity, and digital forensics firm in Fairfax, Virginia.
And I'm Jim Calloway, director of the Oklahoma Bar Association's Management Assistance Program. Today, our topic is the Southern Poverty Law Center, a view from the inside.
But first, we would like to thank our sponsors. We'd like to welcome our sponsor, Nota, powered by M&T Bank. Nota is banking built for lawyers and provides smart, no-cost IOLTA account management. Visit trustnota.com/legal to learn more. Terms and conditions may apply. We would like to thank Alert Communications for sponsoring this episode. If any law firm is looking for call, intake, or retainer services available 24/7, 365, just call 866-827-5568.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, the Black Letter Podcast, a show dedicated to making law exciting and fun with informative interviews and advice from esteemed guests. We'd also like to thank Scorpion. Scorpion is a leading provider of marketing solutions for the legal industry. With nearly 20 years of experience serving attorneys, Scorpion can help grow your practice. Learn more at scorpionlegal.com. Our guest today is our very good friend Natalie Kelly, the current director of legal management for the Southern Poverty Law Center. She is a longtime legal management and technology expert and is responsible for the modernization of the center's legal department operations. The center has offices in Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, and Louisiana. Thanks for joining us today, Natalie.
Thanks so much, Jim and Sharon. I really am looking forward to our time together today. So thanks for having me.
Well, we're delighted you're here. And Natalie, after being a longtime employee for a bar association, what made you switch jobs after such a long tenure there?
Actually, it was really simply time for me to make a change. You know, the world was changing due to COVID, and I think everyone can relate to that experience of looking around saying something's different here and something's changed, and maybe I need to reassess, where I am. For me, it was looking at my life and watching myself, and my daughters have grown up, and considering my husband and where we were in life in general. And it just made sense for me to kind of examine where I was career-wise as well. And so this was the next step, and looking out to see what was there, it turned out to be perfect for me. And so this 2 months that I've now been at the center have been nothing short of amazing.
Well, we're glad to hear that. Glad you're happy.
Certainly we are. So what duties excite you the most about your new role as Director of Legal Management?
That title is kind of really, really interesting, particularly when you're talking about the Southern Poverty Law Center, because it really is like a big, huge law firm. And so what I've been excited about is really learning all of the needs of the team of the legal department, which encompasses the majority of the center's personnel. We have, over 70 lawyers and, another 50 plus or more legal professionals that we work with. And so managing the information that comes out of those particular teams within that department have been really exciting for me, just to kind of know what they're working on and what their needs are from a management perspective has been fascinating.
Well, of course, we know you from being so active in the American Bar Association's Law Practice Division. Will you continue to be active there, and will you continue to be active in other national groups?
Sharon, I really do hope that I'm able to continue my national group involvement. And the reason that I think that I really look forward to that is because there is the opportunity for me to continue to learn and grow. I mean, I think, as you know, these spaces, when we're talking about being involved say whether it's with the American Bar Association, I'm serving on the Pratt Board Steering Committee, and that committee is looking at how lawyers are going to react to and what they need to do in the future as it relates to post-pandemic work. And so being a part of that entity, as well as the law practice division, those spaces are there and have helped me learn and grow and develop my legal management expertise, and particularly when it comes to technology. And so I would hope that I'm able to continue in those spaces and continue to gain from those experiences, as well as contribute to them where I can.
Well, that's good news.
We hope so, too. Natalie, you've been known nationwide for your technology expertise and are a former ABA Tech Show chair like both Sharon and I are. How does your new role utilize your skill set?
My legal management expertise kind of comes down, the skills that I've learned, particularly in the technology space, are really being put to the test, because we're talking about an organization that, a nonprofit legal department that operates almost like a corporate legal department. And so it has some of the same challenges from a technology perspective. It's shifting to cloud-based and what we call center-wide collaboration needs. How do we manage our technology within the department so that we can effectively work with others throughout the center? How do we move to cloud-based and remote work tools and spaces? And how do we do that effectively? And so I've been able to, at least for the first 2 months on the job, I'm kind of focus in on some of the skills that I've learned in the past. How do I utilize those to push those plans forward? And so far, that's kind of what I've been doing, and it would expect that to continue.
Well, let me throw in a question that's not in the script, because it just occurred to me that a lot of people won't know how big the Poverty Center is, and they won't know what its basic function is. We should have started with that, but how about re-educating us now?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Not at all. So the Southern Poverty Law Center is a nonprofit civil rights organization. We have over 350 employees, and as Jim mentioned in the intro, the center has offices throughout the southeastern United States. And so in terms of having 350 folks across 6-7 offices in the South, we are operating as a nonprofit with a board and that oversees the work that we're doing in the space of fighting hate and hatred in the United States. My mother didn't know what the center was all about. In fact, when I selected the job, and so she said, "Well, what are you going to be doing?" She was really worried that I was leaving my last position, and I said, "Well, Mom, the easiest way for me to describe it is I'm anti-hate, so it must be love." So I'm in the business of love. So that she got a laugh out of that, and that's what we do. It's all about love and justice and equality in a space, and the center operates through mainly impact litigation. So
Sharon and I are biased, but we both think the center is lucky to have you. So before we move on to our next segment, let's take a quick commercial break.
As the largest legal-only call center in the U.S., Alert Communications helps law firms and legal marketing agencies with new client intake. Alert captures and responds to all leads 24/7, 365 as an extension of your firm in both English and Spanish. Alert uses proven intake methods, customizing responses as needed, which earns the trust of clients and improves client retention. To find out how Alert can help your law office, call 866-827-5568 or visit alertcommunications.com/LTN.
The Black Letter Podcast demystifies complicated law and business issues by breaking them down into simple, understandable bites. Hosted by Tom Dunlap of Dunlap, Bennett & Ludwig, this show features fun and informative conversation with esteemed guests like CEOs and former AGs of the CIA. You can listen to Black Letter today on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to the Digital Edge on the Legal Talk Network. Today, our subject is the Southern Poverty Law Center, a view from the inside. Our guest today is our good friend Natalie Kelly, the current Director of Legal Management for the Southern Poverty Law Center. She is a longtime legal management expert and is responsible for the modernization of the center's legal department operations. So, Natalie, what's the one thing that you're most encouraged by in your new role?
Sharon, actually, the work that we're doing at the center is so critical to our times. And the one thing that I think that I'm truly encouraged by is understanding that we're making a change, we're making an impact, that we're being impactful in the situation in the country right now. And so understanding that makes me encouraged to know that the center is paying attention to its needs, both internally as it helps to fight causes externally.
And Natalie, what's a current challenge that you look forward to tackling?
It's really funny, but Jim, it's probably like the other position that I held for 25 years. It's fighting the inbox, and so in terms of tackling my inbox, quite frankly, is really the challenge. But on a personal level, it's keeping my inbox clean when we're talking about receiving information from over 100 legal professionals on a regular basis. But I think from the perspective of the Director of Legal Management within the center, one of the things that I look forward to challenging is something that I alluded to earlier, and that's that the center has to be able to collaborate within the different departments. And so being able to do that, quite frankly, is one of the things that I want to really tackle. And it's smoothing out the collaboration. We're working with extremely talented individuals, both in an IT perspective and a data analytics perspective, and just being able to push forward initiatives using the latest in terms of technology and information is encouraging to me, and is quite frankly quite exciting. So
yeah, exciting, and I'm sure challenging.
Yes.
So have you found any new tools or resources that will help you in your mission here?
Well, it's not necessarily that they're new tools, but what I'm finding is that I think that our space, being post-pandemic, are moving towards a space where we can start to see a bit of hope and seeing individuals more in person and managing personnel in ways that we're trying to juggle them in various spaces, both remotely and site. I think that gives us an opportunity to really, really hone in on what tools will be needed, in fact. And so while they may not be new, it's what can we do to kind of do the work that we need to and do it effectively and efficiently. So it's not so much of that. And I think that if there were, kind of one position that I've already alluded to, it's probably some of the data analysts that we have working even within the legal department. When I think about this, we have 6 practice areas in the center that have a focus on voting rights. There's an immigrant justice project. We have an economic justice project. We were born out of the criminal justice reform program or project that we have. We also have an LGBTQ and special litigation section. And so those areas, and within those areas of voting rights, as an example, takes advantage of the data analyst that's in the department. And so utilizing personnel, having project management personnel, those are the kinds of individuals, and some of the tools and technology that they use would be something that I would say would be some of the things that we're using right now.
Natalie, you mentioned email, our most used and most frustrating tool, but what other older familiar tools have you been using so far in your new work?
Well, as you might imagine, Jim, as we work through multiple litigation cases and campaigns advocacy campaigns, the need to track that has been at the forefront of what we're having to do. And so matter management tools, which I have an extensive background in practice management systems, has been something that I've really been able to kind of draw upon my skill set from and utilize in helping us make sure that we're putting into place the right protocols, looking at how we're managing and leveraging information that we're including in a practice management system. system. So that's one of those spaces or one of those technologies that's still around and will be for a while for me.
Well, you've certainly been one of my go-to people with questions about practice management systems, so I know you can handle that. Before we move on to our next segment, let's take a quick commercial break.
Now, more than ever, an effective marketing strategy is one of the most important things for your firm. Scorpion can help. With nearly 20 years of experience serving the legal industry, Scorpion has proven methods to help you get the high-value cases you deserve. Join thousands of attorneys across the country who have turned to Scorpion for effective marketing and technology solutions. For a better way to grow your practice, visit scorpionlegal.com. You went to law school to be a lawyer, not an accountant. Take advantage of Nota, a no-cost IOLTA management tool that helps solo and small law firms track client funds down to the penny. Enjoy peace of mind with one-click reconciliation, automated transaction alerts, and real-time bank data. Visit trustnota.com/legal to learn more. Terms and conditions may apply. Welcome back to the Digital Edge on the Legal Talk Network. Today our subject is the Southern Poverty Law Center, a view from the inside. Our guest is Natalie Kelly, the current Director of Legal Management for the Southern Poverty Law Center. So Natalie, legal operations and corporate legal management have been focused on a lot for the past several years. A lot of things have changed, of course, with the pandemic and now with new hybrid working models. Any ideas or forecasts of what will be going on in these areas over the next couple of years?
Yeah, Sharon, you kind of hinted at it, quite frankly, and I think the hybrid work environment is certainly something that these corporate legal operations to struggle with, as with everyone, I think. And so, in looking at that, though, I think what happens is that there was almost with the pandemic a pause put on some of the progress that we had seen in these particular areas, and with legal operations being hot. And moving forward, I think it was kind of coming of age. And with the pandemic having that down a bit, I think in the future, what we're going to see is that it'll start to ramp back up, that they will contend with hybrid workspaces and how to do legal departments and legal organizations manage that, remote working situations. But then I also think that there will be a merging of something that I was going to ask you and Jim that I could hopefully learn about in a future Digital Edge podcast, because that's kind of an uptick on artificial intelligence and data analytics again. I think that those things will start to come to the forefront. You'll start to see perhaps a look back at how the pandemic impacted the profession in legal organizations and departments. And then in looking back at that, the information and the data that comes from those particular, what shifts have taken place, how many people have left the profession, where corporate legal departments have they benefited from time away from being in person or not. Those are the kinds of things that I think we'll start to see legal operations, corporate legal management experts start to pay attention to a little bit more, looking at the numbers a little bit more closely and how they manage their personnel. So I think in the future, that's what's going to be going on.
It's certainly something we're hearing about every day as you look at the legal chatter. It's amazing how that is an obsession of folks, what they're going to be doing. But let's go back to, I think you mentioned during one of our breaks while we were recording this that you had inadvertently left out a group. You want to tell us about who you left out?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would be remiss if I did not mention that the center also has a children's rights practice area or practice group. And in fact, there is a litigation that was filed just yesterday on a case that we filed down in Florida to deal with the Baker Act. And this is an act that allows children to undergo mental evaluations without the consent of parents. And so these are the kinds of things that we're out there taking a look at, and my department actually gets involved with. And so whether it's that case, and there are many others that the Southern Poverty Law Center involves itself with, it's really, again, about justice, equality, fighting hate and racism. That's what the Southern Poverty Law Center is all about. And I'm extremely proud to be a part of teams like the Children's Rights, working with teams like the Children's Rights Group to do this impact litigation and also be involved in advocacy towards those ends.
Love, justice, children's rights. I mean, we just need to add apple pie in, Natalie, and we've got it all there, I think. Have you been doing much training yet? I know training's always an issue with an organization your size.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And it's so fascinating that we talked earlier about inbox management, because even something as simple as, hey, Natalie, we think we could really use some of your tips that you've shared as far as managing email. Those are the things that we are focusing on. And while we do, in fact, have a training department at the center, we will actually be undergoing some campaigns to upgrade and update the training platforms that have been available to the legal department in the past. So I'm really glad you asked about that, Jim, because yes, training is big for me, and I'm looking forward to doing more of it here at the center.
Well, Natalie, we're so happy about your new job and your new employer. We're both big fans of the center, and we really thank you for joining us today. It was nice to learn about your new work, and the three of us have been friends for so long. We've kind of grown old together.
That's right. We have.
But it has been a remarkable friendship, and so we're really, really happy we could have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to the both of you for your continued friendship and professionalism. It's unmatched, and I appreciate you both.
Thank you, Natalie. And that does it for this edition of the Digital Edge Lawyers in Technology. And remember, you can subscribe to all the editions of this podcast at LegalTalkNetwork.com or on Apple Podcasts. And if you enjoyed our podcast, please rate us on Apple Podcasts.
Thanks for joining us. Goodbye, Miss Sharon.
Happy trails, cowboy.
Thanks for listening to The Digital Edge, produced by the broadcast professionals at Legal Talk Network. Join Sharon Nelson and Jim Calloway for their next podcast covering the latest topic related to lawyers and technology. Subscribe to the RSS feed on LegalTalkNetwork.com or in iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.